Hi, welcome to Live Life to the Fullest.tv. So we are excited to have you to come on board and then to follow up with our program. So this time around we focus on life quotient, and specifically we're going to talk about our 101 BounceSG. As you know, if you have been following our video series, we're talking about really people and personalities that actually have gone through challenging lives, but however they have overcome. Now they have overcome their own life challenges, they have overcome adversity. And with that, they strive. And not only that, they also able to thrive by even helping others, by building their community, serving their needs, and then help others. So to us, we would like to continue to feature that. And today, we have a wonderful guest with us. And then that's where he will be sharing with us his journey. More importantly, he'll be sharing with us his works and of course, a little bit about his family life. So with that, then that is where we want to introduce this personality, Mervin Yeo. But hold on, because we're not going to show his face yet. But of course, we hope that with that, you also have something that you can take away from him. So I'm going to dig a little deeper with a conversation with him, and so that we will get the opportunity or to learn some life pointers, and then from there we can see how we can apply it to our lives. So just to give a brief idea, right? So Mervin, actually he is an introvert leader. Now what is an introvert leader? So I think this is something that all of us later on were able to find out from him. And then of course, like I mentioned, his works in the form of books that has been written by him. So this is something that we'll take this opportunity to explore a little bit more about a series of books that he has written. And of course, finally, he is a coach, and that is where we want to know a little bit more about, of course, last but not least, is to really understand his family life, because then we want to know how he actually strike a balance between work and life. So with that, do stay tuned with us. And I'm Uncle Roland. I'm from livelifefullest.tv, and with that, we hope that you will enjoy our program for you. Now, if you want to support us, do take this opportunity to scan this QR code. That's right, and then see us there. And from there, you also can discover and explore our other video series. And of course, if you would like to, we will invite you. In fact, we hope to invite you to join our online games and challenges for your family to enjoy. So hope that you will support us in that way too. So with that, do stay tuned, because Uncle Roland and our Mervin Yeo will be back. Okay, so like I mentioned again, welcome to Live Life to the Fullest.tv. So I mentioned again, our special guest with us. All right, our Mr. Mervin Yeo. All right, so without further ado, because before that, just now I've given you like a little intro. So maybe share with us about you, especially when you say that you are an introvert leader. All right, so over to you.
Thanks, Roland. I have discovered that I'm an introvert for many years, especially in my 20s and I was working. But I didn't really appreciate introversion until I started leading others. And it's only in just about a decade ago, I did more studies about introverts and introversion and all that. And then I realized, oh, all these years, 2 decades, I've been leading people as an introverted leader. And the understanding and, in my opinion, misconception is that people think that the extroverted leaders make better leaders. So one of the things I am pushing now is to tell individuals, especially entrepreneurs, that be happy with your introversion and make the most of your introverted traits, and you can lead others, whether it's one person or 5 persons or 50, you too, as an introvert, can be an introverted leader.
You were saying like, that there used to be a thinking about extroverted leader. seems to have an advantage. So what do you mean? Is it because they are more charismatic, they are more loud-spoken?
For sure. So, like I said, for many years, I knew that I'm an introvert. I didn't understand it fully. Now I understand, I embrace, and I'm adapted to it, so I'm thriving in it. I hope it's not too late to teach other introverts to make the most of that. I want them to go through a process of understanding, self-awareness, and all that, and then embracing it, you know. And so what we've noticed in the past is the outgoing, outspoken, those that are always visible to others, they happen to be extroverted. Of course, there's a small minority introvert who are very adapted, you know. Some say they are what we call functional extroverts. And so they behave as if they are introverts out there. But after that, they shy away from people when it comes to networking. I know a few outstanding public speakers, world-renowned international speakers who are like that. So it's the same thing whether it comes to public speaking or leadership. The understanding for many, many years, and thanks, I think I should give credit to Susan Cain, who wrote a book, Quiet, some years ago, might be 15 years ago. And she said that, and she showed that book became world, not just bestseller in New York Times now, when she's a leading expert in introversion. And she wrote a second book, Quiet Power, a few years later. And then everyone started realizing, oh man, we don't have to hide ourselves behind the cubicle and hide ourselves from people. We introverts can be out there and shine. We don't have to be loud and outgoing, but we can still influence others. We can still lead others. And because I believe in networking, we can actually connect people for win-win, you know, successful businesses and ventures and what have you.
So what you're saying is that actually we do not need to be like the extrovert in order to be successful. Alright, so what's more important is that knowing and accept that we are being introvert, but more importantly is that then what are the other avenues, ways or tools or even systems that we actually can develop for ourselves that can be to our advantage. Wonderful. So I hope that with this, that sort of give you a good idea of what is coming up, all right, as I continue this conversation with Mervin. So of course, he's not just being an introvert leader. Of course, being an introvert leader, you can see that he's involved in many different approaches. In fact, later on, we're going to talk about his book. We're going to actually talk about even the organization or even the training program that he's coming up with, or he has been running it for a while as a form of impact to his community despite being an introvert. So do stay tuned with us because we have more coming up to you. So thank you, Mervin, but we're going to get all of them to stay tuned, all right? Okay, so with that, Uncle Roland here, I hope that with that sort of give you a good opening. And remember, do stay tuned because we will be back. Okay, so welcome back to Live Life to the Fullest.tv. I'm Uncle Roland here. So I hope that you have been following our conversation with Mervin Yeo, being an introvert leader. I hope that with that, it also arouses a bit of your curiosity. Are you an introvert? Are you feeling down being an introvert? Do you feel that you are being disadvantaged being an introvert? Do you think that because of who you are, you cannot or you are not able to shine, whether in your workplace or whether with the things that you want to do or even in the business arena? And if you are in that kind of situation, congrats, because you are right place. Because we have Mervin Yeo as an introvert leader, being very successful with what he has done to his community. And that's where we have the opportunity to really get some takeaway from him. So in order to start this conversation, what we're going to do is that we're going to explore a little bit with the books that he has written. So with that, I really want to congratulate Mervin right? Because really, it's also our privilege to able to showcase his work right in front of all of you. In fact, right here today, we would like to focus on 3 out of the 9 books that he has written or co-written. And I think we want to take this opportunity to explore a little bit more one by one, and then to see how, all right, it can benefit you. How about that? So with that, without further ado, let us now expound into his works. Okay, Mervin, maybe in brief, just share with us these 3 books that right now we are going to explore a little. What are they all about? Yes.
Okay, so my background is in networking, primarily business networking. Right? Business people network with each other. And so when I started focusing on the introverts, I thought, or my peers, and those who have attended my courses before, say, hey, maybe put something together for the introverts, the introvert business people who needs to learn how to network. And so I realized that a lot of us lack confidence, or we don't like networking. So I had to change that. And especially the introverts, they hate it even more, right? So like I mentioned earlier, they can be outstanding public speaker, but they dislike or hate networking. So the first book here, I Can Connect. You see the I is actually introvert.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's an introvert's handbook to stress-free networking. Because I know the introverts are overwhelmed. When someone invites them to networking, they'll think for hours and days before they give a reply. So when you invite an introvert, I always say, give them time to reply. They may want to attend, but don't push them. Once you push them, they may change their mind. So I have 3 areas, 3 phases. Before networking, what do you do to prepare? And then during the networking, what do you need to do? How do you make the most of the event? It can be 1 hour, can be 3 hours, can be a conference, or even a trade show, for example. And so at the end of it, there's a checklist of follow-up. How do you follow up with these people? So this is a guidebook. This is something that I feel introverts who want to network need to have. If they don't want to network, I cannot help you. But if they want to, this is where they start.
In fact, hearing what you say, looks like you are providing a kind of system or a kind of process, which exactly that's what an introvert really needs. Right? Rather than going into a session and then let it be free and easy and very, very spontaneous, or you need to think on your feet, but actually now you have provided a way, a methodology, which actually it is perfect for an introvert.
Yep.
All right, so this is the first book that Mervin is talking about. So I hope that with that, that will actually give you some interest in it. And then with that, right, hey, maybe you would like to get a copy or really to learn something from Mervin. But having said that, hey, we still have the second and the third book to go, so hang on. All right, so Mervin, back to you.
If I may jump to the one over there, where
That's right.
right next to you. Because I'm introvert, I triumph. And so one of the things that I encourage the introverts to do is to collaborate with others. And so I believe in a book project. I believe that introverts need to come together and support each other in whatever project, assignment they have. And so a book project is one of them. And so one night, the 4 of us, and it actually happened at the funeral wake, Yeah, late at night, it was raining, and someone said, hey, maybe we should write our stories. And I took it very seriously. I started pushing it. I wasn't the publisher, but someone else published the book. But out of the 14 authors, I brought in about a dozen of them to help write chapters in the book. And so each one of them told their introvert stories. So some of them, they had challenges in school, some of them challenges in work, and some even relationships and all that. And so that one reveals a lot of the inhibitions that introverts have and how they come forth and start relating with people.
So you're saying that in this book, there are stories, right?
Stories, yeah. So it's personal introverted stories by introverts. So all of the authors are introverts.
Right.
So they are business people, corporate executives, even solopreneurs, freelancers. They also tell their stories. So it's quite diverse
So in other words, actually through this book, you can actually learn through their experience.
Yeah.
And in other words, right, actually over here, you will have the opportunity to really able to relate to what they have gone through.
Yeah.
In fact, if you are introvert, I believe that all these stories will definitely resonate with all of you. Okay, so wonderful. So I think that is how you actually started off. I think really very seriously with a project. And in fact, based on this, this is actually really the traits of an introvert. And this is what they are really capable of. And that's where I can see how you have leverage on your trait positively.
Yes.
All right, rather than being so negative about not able to be as eloquent or charismatic or as loud as an extrovert, but rather you actually leverage on your strength. So I think that is really wonderful. So I hope that this book will actually give you more insight, and especially if, let's say, you are in that kind of situation, we hope that all this story will able to inspire you. And then do really support Mervin, and then by getting a copy, so that with that, right, that may be something for you to inspire your weekend and do something positively by reading his book. Okay, not forgetting we have the third book. So with that, let's come back to Mervin. Okay, Mervin, how about the third book?
Yes. So continuing with these collaborative efforts, right? I got a bit restless because COVID started in 2020, and I just related people online. And so in 2020, I wrote an ebook. But in 2021, I started looking for people who might want to contribute articles in a chapter on networking. And so this is a very interesting story. So some people didn't like the negative title, Reluctant Networking. How can you promote that? So I had to tell them how it started. I was invited to a professional speakers and trainers association to attend an event. And I heard there might be 60, 80 people online. And so because the president invited me, I said, okay, I better show face lah. But I didn't show face. I showed up, but I muted my video. I was listening throughout, and there were 3 speakers. I think I heard 2 speakers, and then I left because I had something to do. It was already more than 1.5 hours. The next day, president asked me, Mervin, hey, were you there? I said, yeah, I was there. And so I was quite embarrassed because I posted this on social media, and I said, I'm supposed to be a networking expert, and I'm afraid to meet people. Of course, my excuse was that, oh, I haven't done this a long time, online, and it's very different. And so I joked about this, and I put it in various groups, including Singapore, and I had very good response from one overseas, run by a British lady, UK. And then the people supported my idea. I said, hey, I was so reluctant in networking. What if I wrote a book on reluctant networking? Oh, we'll buy it. So I was so motivated. I came back to my group and I said, hey, who wants to write a book? Within a week, I got about 8, 9 people say yes. So I had to work again. Second week, find another few more. I was hoping to get close to 20, but I was on a tight timeline. Mm-hmm. So this one we have last year. So I managed to get 13 chapters, 13 contributing authors write stories on their experience of networking, and they are all introverts. Yeah, so all of them are doing quite well now in networking.
Okay.
But some of them still have challenges, but they didn't give up. So what I said just now is, if you want to network, we can help you. But if you totally hate it, then we need to go through a session of coaching.
So in other words, you're saying that this particular book focus on the networking skills.
Yes.
Right?
And it's true. Some of them gave systems and techniques that they've applied. So it's very wonderful. I learned from them.
All right. Yeah. So in other words, really, this book has gone in depth.
Yes.
All right. Whereas the previous book is really like an opening, and then the second book really talk about individual success in general, I suppose. Whereas now this book, we are really talking about really going in depth, and then how you actually really can apply this in your own business area. Wow, so you can see that with these 3 books, hopefully that will give you a very comprehensive so-called exposure or learning opportunity where really you are not only picking on Mervin's brain, but in fact you are really learning from many of his friends within his network. And I think he actually really has sort of come out with really the essence which is actually really collected from all these different introverts, and then from there it combined and become some form of a business wisdom. So we hope that with that, hey, are you inspired? You better be, right? Yeah, so really for me especially, I'm also grateful to have Mervin with us to really give us a very good idea of what this book about. So really give us your support. For us, we really think that even as an introvert, you still can be very successful. All right, so we hope that you will give Mervin your support by getting a copy, and then from there, let's see how that inspires you, all right, as you go on and you move on with your business and life. All right, so really with that, we got to thank you, Mervin, but we are not finished yet. All right, so do stay tuned because Uncle Roland and Mervin Yeo will be back.